Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another weather forecast here by Angel Weather Forecast. And this is going to be an update here on major winter storm Yuri, which will be historic and absolutely major as it will be a cross-country system all the way from the Pacific Northwest Sierras to the Gulf Coast, all the way up to the Northeast here. And we're going to be seeing potentially as well not only historic snowfall totals, but historic temperatures all the way to the Gulf Coast, where we could see single digits and highs, guys. High temperatures may not even get past freezing for some areas, all the way down to Houston, all the way down to Lake Charles. I mean, this is absolutely historic, if not even just record breaking in general here. So, if you guys want to know more about this system, if you're anywhere across the country here, of course, since this will be such a big system, I recommend watching the whole video. And if you're not already subscribed, be sure to do so, as I will update you guys every single day, and especially a good a lot since it is coming the weekend here on this storm. And as well, be sure to comment if you have any questions. But without further ado, let's get into the forecast. So this is now a look at what we have for the National Weather Service here. As you can see, we are seeing winter storm watches and warnings in areas where we don't usually see them. I mean, for example, look at Houston here under a windstorm watch here. So northern Louisiana under a windstorm watch. Just outside the El Paso area, we have a windstorm watch here. I mean, even near the Corpus Christi area, we have a windstorm watch. So it's absolutely crazy how not only far south these advisories and warnings are, or watches and warnings are, but how widespread they are, all the way from New Mexico all the way to Ohio here. We have a ton, millions under a windstorm watch or warning. Look, almost the whole state of Oklahoma is under a warning there. Much of areas like Dallas, Austin, Amarillo, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, you guys are under warnings there, and they'll stretch all the way up to areas like the Oklahoma border with Missouri. And of course, those watches are very widespread. And we have those advisories and warnings across those higher elevations there in the Rockies and sea areas where the storm will originate and will occur throughout the early weekend, like tomorrow and early Sunday. But by the time we get to Sunday afternoon, it will really become a big threat across these areas, and it'll be even a bigger threat even by Monday. By Tuesday, Wednesday, it will move across areas like the Ohio Valley and the Northeast. So this is now a look at what we have for the GFS. This is the 18Z. This is what we have across areas in the Pacific Northwest by the next 24 hours here. So tomorrow at this time, there's that low pressure and there's that absolute massive high pressure, which is extremely strong, up to 1,046 millibars. That's exactly why this whole system's even possible, because it's going to bring in potentially 20 to 35 degrees below average down the crest of the United States here in the spine of the U.S. And as it moves more towards the south, it actually strengthens, allowing for potentially single digits and maybe even negative digits across the southern plains, which is why the storm is going to be absolutely historic. It's going to mainly be a southern storm, and then obviously it'll eventually move towards the north, but it's going to be mainly a southern plain storm here. But by the next 48 hours, this storm continues to get a lot larger, bringing snow across upper Texas, much of Oklahoma, and the general southern plains. And as we now get into Monday, this is when the biggest threat will be across these coastal areas. Extremely heavy ice and maybe some snow across Houston, the Corpus Christi region, even where Hurricane Hannah made landfall near the Mexico border. We may see some type of freezing rain. Extremely heavy snow across areas like Dallas, Austin, Texarkana, and even the snow stretching all the way from Mexico border into areas like Maine. So literally almost a whole eastern United States storm here. And then it makes its way into Tuesday into areas like maybe New Orleans may get something out of this. Extremely heavy snow across areas like Memphis, Nashville, even Jackson, Mississippi here. It's going to be definitely something very interesting, and it'll make its way by Tuesday night, another nor'easter across the Northeast, and it could be a decent coastal event. However, the heaviest snow for once will finally be more inland in areas like the Poconos, upstate New York, much of Pennsylvania there, and to areas like New England, because that low pressure is just too close to the coast to be a big coastal event here. This is now a look at the European. This is not the 12Z here for European, and this is at the next 30 hours. There you see that heavy snow continuing across the Pacific Northwest, bringing those heavy snow, even potentially maybe an avalanche threat across Colorado and Washington, even as well Oregon throughout the weekend. But as we now get into Sunday evening, the snow will continue to become more widespread and move more toward the south, even as that high pressure continues to make its way through the United States. That will allow the storm to get even more significant. Now, by Monday at this time, Monday evening, this snow will get even worse from Texas to areas like Lake Erie, Lake Huron as well. Heavy snow in areas like Texas, Louisiana, the south central, even Gulf Coast, and as well heavy snow to areas like the Ohio River Basin. So definitely extremely interesting what we're gonna be seeing. And this, guys, we may even see some snow all the way to areas like Mobile, Alabama. Maybe even see a few flurries near the Florida Panhandle. This is how historic this storm will be here. Extremely heavy snow or any type of frozen precipitation stretching from the Gulf Coast to areas like Nova Scotia. Heavy snow will be more towards the northwest of that low pressure, so kind of looking at Cincinnati, much of Ohio, and even the Ohio River Basin. But European kind of takes this be more of a inland northeastern threat instead of a kind of inland or coastal event here. But I was not even to do that. So this is now what we're going to be seeing here for the next few days. Let me actually move my screen a little bit like that. So this is kind of what we're going to be seeing all the way by Wednesday here. So much of the snow actually may be in general from the same system here, which is kind of impressive. But obviously you can be seeing those up to a few feet or across these higher elevations, or let me do that again, these higher elevations here. Not all from this one low pressure, but mainly as well Uri will bring in a lot of the snow across the Sierras and a lot of snow across these Rockies and areas like Colorado, Utah. We may see up to a few feet, but this is all for sure from Uri, which is impressive enough, but it's going to make its way all the way across the country here, which is, again, very impressive. But the impressive part is not even here yet. I mean, we may even see an inch near El Paso. We may even see an inch near Houston, and even up to half a foot across the south central, up to half a foot across Shreveport, across areas like the Mississippi River Basin and Memphis, Jonesboro, even Little Rock. Look at areas like as well the southern plains near Oklahoma City, Kansas may get near half a foot to a foot or more, and then to continue the storm continue to strengthen here as it moves more to the northwest here. Can possibly see maybe 4 inches near Nashville, may see as well up to a foot near Cincinnati, and even near a foot in general across the upper northeast and Great Lakes here, possibly a foot or more near Syracuse, a foot or more across areas like Erie, Cleveland, Detroit may get a foot now, and you can kind of see those coastal areas will kind of get limited for once, which is kind of a good thing, I guess, since they are probably most likely really tired of this snow. But look at the GFS again, that snow all the way from the Pacific Northwest down to the coast to Maine. So very widespread storm. But look at the GFS. The fact is they get a storm all the way down to the coast and up to half a foot near the coast here, which is absolutely impressive. They get a few feet, of course, in those four corner states there, and even as well those higher Sierras there, in those valley regions. They get up to around a half foot across all the way from central Texas all the way up to areas like Maine. So the GFS is really disagreeing a lot and actually taking the storm a lot more to the east here. So they're getting up to near half a foot across Alabama, up to half a foot for Jackson, Mississippi, up to maybe a few inches there near Baton Rouge. So they definitely are pushing this a lot more to the east than the European. You can kind of see it's definitely a big difference. I mean, they get a foot according to the European for Indianapolis, and only maybe a few inches for the from the GFS. So I kind of have to agree with. I'm gonna have to go with the European. I think the European's a lot more, I guess, reasonable. I mean, they get up to half foot across the coast of New York City. I really don't really see that possibly. So they get up to half foot or more across Nashville. I don't really see that. Up to as well a half foot across the coast. I really don't see that as well. So I think GFS is definitely pushing it for once. We don't really say that too often, but definitely has it a lot more to the east here, and having millions from Dallas to Boston that can get over half a foot of snow here. This is now going to be a look at what we can possibly see across the south central here for early next week. You can kind of see potentially 4 to 6 inches across Dallas, maybe a few regions there where we may see some strong bands that can get up to half a foot or more. Look at Houston, may get an inch or so. May get, of course, maybe a few inches near Austin, a few inches there near Texarkana, Shreveport, Monroe. But look at areas like the Mississippi River. Could be almost a bullseye for the South Central, but Oklahoma and northern Texas is not messing around. We'll be seeing extremely heavy snow and just snow, not really ice like we're seeing there near the coast. But look at the snow here for the Mid-Atlantic and much of the Northeast here. Potentially up to 10 inches there for Columbus, a few inches there, or not a few inches, but a ton of snow across areas like the Ohio River and Mississippi River there, and areas like Paducah, Louisville can get some snow. Much of Indiana, even Chicago may get some impressive snow across this snowstorm up to 10 inches. Detroit may get a foot, according to the European. And look at it's going to be a big storm across the Great Lakes here. Areas like Lake Huron can bring up to more than a foot across areas like Rochester, as well into Watertown. Extremely heavy amount of snow across Pittsburgh, Erie, State College. Kind of be more of a upper northeastern storm, which is what I think will actually happen. I don't see what the GFS is showing. This is what the GFS has, though. I mean, look at that. They can't be they can't be reasonable about this. They get up to 8 inches on the coast of Louisiana. I just don't see that. They get up to near 9 inches there for Dallas. I don't see that as well. And they get up to 3 to 4 inches near Houston, which I obviously don't see really happening. You got to be reasonable. Although the temperatures will be very cold. I mean, it's going to be a very fast-moving storm, so I doubt it'll actually drop that much snow for Houston. Obviously, you still got to think about the coast effect there. But look at all that snow according to the GFS, millions to get affected here. Either way, if it's going to be this much or this, or what the European has, it's still going to be potentially historic. But look at the difference here. They have near 20 inches for Oklahoma City from the European. Only 5 inches for Oklahoma City. The big difference here. Same thing for areas like Arkansas. Look at the difference here. It's, maybe 9 inches near Little Rock. Maybe only 3 inches for Little Rock. So still have a lot of differences here between the models. I mean, I don't see this happening whatsoever. I don't see this happening. Well, I use that again. I don't see this happening really whatsoever. I really don't see this whole thing. I don't really see this happening really. I think the DFS is really taking it way more to the east. I think it's gonna as well be a big significant storm across these areas. I mean, these areas are definitely going to get hit very hard. I just don't see kind of this area really. I really can't see this really. I think they're taking it way more to the east. I guess it could be kind of the temperature difference, but they're getting up to half foot across the whole state of Pennsylvania, almost a whole state of New Jersey, much of not all the New England region. So definitely something interesting. But the ice is as well going to be a big threat by the next 54 hours. Can get maybe around a tenth of an inch of ice across areas like Louisiana and Texarkana, but that ice will become a lot bigger threat, getting near, I guess, a 20th of an inch there across areas like Tennessee there, across Texas, but it gets a lot more severe now, getting up to half an inch of ice potentially near the Houston and Texas coast region. Can get maybe a 30th of an inch there across areas like the Tennessee Valley near just outside or just to the east of Nashville. But look how the worst ice will be more to the south. Maybe just 8/10 of an inch there. So getting up to 1/80 of an inch, almost an inch of ice across this region, and as well getting 0.79 of an inch there across Mississippi, but a big ice as well across the Mid-Atlantic. So we could be seeing our first ice storm warnings in the Gulf or just outside the Gulf Coast in a while here, and we can get near just under an inch of ice across areas like Maryland and those higher elevations. So it's going to be a big ice threat from the Gulf Coast to areas like the New England. But let's go ahead and see the cold front, why this is all possible. This is by Sunday here. I mean, we're talking the crest. I mean, literally just the central United States, not the east, not the west. It's literally just going straight down the west, which is why this storm is going to be so significant across the southern plains here, potentially at the 30 to 35 degrees below average on Tuesday, and this will continue to push eastward, allowing for that snow there all the way into areas of the Ohio Valley there. But I mean, look at that. It's literally going straight into Mexico as well. I mean, this is definitely a very impressive and very impressive cold front here. So absolutely crazy. I mean, it's definitely historic. It's definitely record breaking. But I hope you guys enjoy the video. Be sure to subscribe and see you guys later.